If you sell a course, run a coaching program, or any info-based offer, but your customers just aren't consuming the information you're giving to them, and as a result of that, they're dropping off early, they're not leaving good reviews, and even in some cases, they're asking for a refund, well, there is a reason to that. I've spent 6 years in this space, first as someone who's bought courses and never finished them, and now I run back-end operations for multiple six-figure info businesses. I've seen exactly why this happens firsthand, and in this video I'm going to break down how to structure your course the right way, why consumption is broken for most info products, and the fix to get your customers ascending to higher offers, leaving great reviews and wanting more content. Let's get into it. So before we get into the core of the video, which is basically how to get your customers to consume your content, how to get them ascending to higher offers, all of that juice, I want to talk about course structure. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to put in your course. That is your job as an expert, right? But what I do want to say just briefly is have a real good reality check. Have a look into how you've become who you are, how you've gained your expertise, and think about it in the structure of your course. Now, what a lot of people seem to do is forget how they reached their goal. And your goal was the same as what your customers are buying. So let's say I was a trader, I'm a profitable trader, it's taken me 2 years. We know that your education and your guidance will get them to that goal in quicker than 2 years. But will it take 6 months? Sure. But only if you structure your content in a certain way. And the issue is people in this space assume way too much. Rather than gather data, rather than understand, they assume. And what I mean by this, and what I'm basically about to go over, is an extremely important thing to consider when you structure your course. Before you even create a course, what you want to do is basically highlight your journey. Let's say this is you, right? And how did you achieve your goal of making loads of money, of being successful? Now, break down each practical step you took to get to that goal. In case, just to make it easy, let's call it your journey. I won't type it because it takes so long. But yeah, this is your journey, right? Now, when you think of your course structure, you want it to basically be off your journey, right? Each thing you encountered which you think was really beneficial to get to your end goal of that tick, you want to include it in your course. Now, barely anyone does this, and basically what this does is, rather than having a relatively clean flow to your course, you have something that looks like this, with loads of stuff in between. And don't get me wrong, it's messy, because it does look messy, but you have so much in between that is extra stuff, added stuff to fill up a course. There's a misconception. You do not need to fill a course at all. The course needs to be easy, straight to the point, and basically easy to consume. Now, when you make your user journey, you also want to do it for your customers. You've got to think about everything that you struggled with and think of it through a lens of a brand new person, which basically is going to take your course. And through that, all of a sudden, you have checkpoints which are optimized, check-ins which and all of a sudden you have cut out, basically, let's say, all the crap, and you have a simple system to get people to their goals. Now, of course, it's not that easy. That's just basically one thing you should 100% do before you even think of consumption, really, and how different techniques to consume. But I always say, and I'll repeat it again in about 5 minutes, about how to consume, about how important it is basically to make it easy, about how easy it is to make, about how important it is to make your course and your content in general super easy to consume. But now let's look into the issues with consumption. So now you've put down your user journey. Let's segment it off. So messy. But now you've done your user journey of how you went through the process to become the end outcome, your desired outcome, the goal that you're teaching, right? You want to now do your users journey. And it kind of will always be very similar, but things change and you need to see it through the lens of a consumer. How Going back to the point of how can I make this extremely easy to consume? And we're gonna really, I've said it again, but like we're gonna really go over that in the next one. Um, but you want to just do the exact same thing, basically highlight every checkpoint. And when you've done this, having a systemized, and this is basically what we're doing. We're creating an engine. We are, you know, don't know what that's supposed to be, but we are systemizing our approach. And basically, what this allows you to do is one, easily hire CSM staff to come in, see your user journey, create SOPs based on checkpoints, like here, and get people to their goals quicker. So you do not have to be in the business all the time. And what it also does, and what it also does, linking to kind of what I've just said there, it saves you so much time. When you have a system like this, every checkpoint's the same. So you have a clean flow. Now, normally, obviously, you'd have something like this, super messy. But when you have a clean flow, yes, there will be anomaly questions. Yes, you'll sometimes have to be in a chat when like questions are asked. That's normal stuff. But you can set tasks per checkpoint very easily. You can track data super easily. But also, when you have a system like this, you can refine. If you're tracking the data, you can see how long it takes for, let's say John to consume it here, how long it takes for him to consume to checkpoint 4, and how long it takes to him to get to desired outcome. If it's a 3 months he's getting to his desired outcome, you can simply just shorten your program, which is one thing you can do. But so basically what I'm trying to say is having a system in place, there's so many benefits. Being able to employ people, being able to refine and iterate constantly, because you can track how long it's taking each person to get from A to Z. And if you've got a good tracking system, which I'll kind of talk about later, but we're going to go over in another video, you can also see what's working and what's not. If people aren't getting through module 1 to module 2, why is that? Collect the data on it, refine and iterate. So that is basically just a little section on how, the core of how you structure your course. Now, like I said, touching on it a little bit more, when someone pays, you know that you're basically trying to drill the expertise into them at each stages, each checkpoints. But for some reason, a lot of people that run a mentorship or courses think that it's a straight line from A to Z. And we both know that's not true. So people complain, people don't understand. And what I was trying to get at in the first point is your course content will often reflect that. You 9 times out of 10 miss what truly you learn to get to your goal. And why wouldn't you implement that? So what is the reality? And the reality is it takes a shit ton of time to get your expertise. And the issue is if your course is structured in a way where you're not giving them wins constantly, building that momentum, holding them accountable, they just won't achieve their desired outcome. And the issue with them not achieving their desired outcome is they don't ascend to higher offers, they won't leave reviews. It's basically becomes a bloodbath. And just visually looking at this, let's say each blue point is a checkpoint. They have a lot of momentum, a lot of motivation fueled from the dopamine of the thought of this desired outcome. But the issue is they still, and the course doesn't really tell them how to get there. So they go on a bit of a journey to get to the first checkpoint. But if they simply don't even have enough momentum to get over this hump and over this bump, then there's an extremely high chance they're going to drop off and do what I say. So how can we basically get them from thinking this to actually achieving their outcome, desired outcome? Now, the solution is, I would argue, fairly easy, but people look at through a course when they're creating it as like, oh, we need to make this hard, we need to make this difficult. You know, there's a weird misconception I see in so many offers where you are trying to instill hustle culture into them reaching their goals. But in the reality is, and for anyone that hosts a course or a mentorship at scale, is if you make the goals extremely easy to achieve, then there's a very high chance you're going to make a lot more money. One way you can do it is basically, as soon as they join, you give them a path to profitability. And what I mean by profitability is, when someone buys your product, in our space, 9 times out of 10, a win is to make money. That's what they've got in the back of their mind. They want to make money. So how can you engineer the process so in week 1 they've got a win which isn't making money like their desired outcome is, like being a profitable trader, but it feels like it is? And how can you make it so they know where they're at and they know basically where they need to be? Now, the way we do this, we basically break it down in segments. We tell them, week 1, you are going to do this. This is going to be the outcome of what you do. Maybe you have like a test. And also, this is what you're going to get by doing it. And by simply just breaking it down, so simple, right? First of all, your expectations are set. Second of all, you can automate content. And what I mean by this is, each person will go through the exact same process. What I see so much with courses and coaches in general is that they'll not have a roadmap. So they'll have random questions at different times. They'll be setting homework randomly. And as a result of that, they're burning through a shit ton of hours. And they think the solution is to bringing someone else into it. And that's not always the solution. Normally for expertise, once again, you pay a lot of money. So set a clear path. By week 2, they will carry the same energy. By week 3, it will be the exact same. And what you'll find is, even though they haven't reached their monetary desired outcome to make money from trading, to make 6 figures from e-commerce, they will feel like they have done that. And when someone consumes in this mindset, what you will soon find out is that they want more. They want to get to this goal quicker. And this is where your ascension path is super important. And I'll go over that in a separate video because it's another thing. It's like, basically what you're trying to do is create customers who are ready for your next offer. And this is how we do it. It's very simple. Like I said at the start of the video, just make it fucking easy for them. Make it content easy to consume. Right. Now, just to summarize kind of what we've gone over, build a system that is made to scale. Everything we went over in the first section, ignore the stuff below, but everything we went over in that first section of course structure, that's inevitably just little tricks to build a system which scales. And we'll go over it here, but like, you need to seriously cut the BS out of your material. And the only way you can do that is by making your content repeatable. And basically, like we said, you could track what works and what doesn't. This is part of building a data set. Offload customer success works to CSMs. This is the thing that will take you from earning 30 to 40k a month to 100k plus, because you're not having to be inside your business 24/7. Another one which will also give you a shit ton of free time is not setting random homework when you feel like it. I've added this here because I feel like I didn't talk about it enough. If you have a system, everyone receives the same work, everyone has the same goals, and like I said in the previous section, if they know their outcome and if you have engineered the wins in the right way, then you don't need to constantly set random stuff. You know, they know what they have to do in that first week, they know what they're going to achieve, and they know what they're going to get out of it. But the most important thing, make it easy to consume. The easier it is to consume, the easier it is to do all of this. But no, of course, I understand that What we have talked about today is potentially 20% of the issue. My team and I know that you still have onboarding issues, Ascension Pass, which I talked about in the video, referral systems, which really aren't bringing any revenue. And also, like I said about just then, about tracking data, we know in the info space, tracking data is extremely hard. So, here's what my team and I have prepared for you. We have currently got an offer on, which is a complete back end audit. We will basically go through everything you're struggling with, plus adding our own expertise, and we will come up with every fix. This would be structured in a onboarding call, a strategy call, and a strategy report, all within a 7-day turnaround. And you can see the areas we cover. You can find all details about this in the description below. And I would just like to say thank you for watching this video. If you have found even the smallest piece of value from this, make sure to subscribe, comment below what your biz is, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.